Or who? Let me ask you, in your division, who do you think is your worst matchup?
Worst matchup. Okay, you put me on the spot here, and this will certainly give those asshole websites a line. Um, well, Musas is a tricky one. Yoel Romero. Listen, I don't see myself having too many problems with Yoel. Would he get me down here and there? Yeah, sure, but I'm good at getting back to my feet, and I think I outbox him pretty well on the feet. Uh, Rockhold, I always knew I could beat that guy. I always said that, and I proved that in the second fight. Jacare's tricky. Listen, they're all tricky. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're all a walk in the park because they're not. Because they're all tough motherfuckers. They're all hard. They all bring problems. To single one out, I don't think I could. I don't look at one guy and think, ooh, he's the guy that I'm really going to avoid. And I certainly don't look at Yoel Romero. I know Yoel is out there trying to paint that picture, and his manager's trying to paint that picture, and that makes sense because, he's the unofficial number one contender, if you will, which I find laughable because he's the biggest cheat in the sport and he just tested positive for steroids and all this shit. That aside, he's kind of the unofficial number one contender, but I'm not avoiding him. And to answer your question, there's no one that stands out. But as you said, inside the top five, each and every one of them certainly brings a lot of things to the table and brings a very, very tough test.
Well, Yoel responded last week because you had said pretty clearly, like, hey, GSP really hasn't responded to this either, but you said, hey, if you're not ready to go until the fall or toward the end of the year, like, I'm not going to wait. I'll just fight Yoel next. And Yoel responded, I'm going to actually pull up his quote. By the way, you've brought this up before. It's really not him. It's just somebody else that's running his, like, Twitter, which is funny. But he
can't speak English, let alone tweet it with perfect punctuation. Okay, yeah. If there wasn't so many apostrophes, commas, and exclamation marks, maybe I would have bought it. Maybe throw in a spelling mistake here and there just to seal the deal. But it's like the Queen's English. So I'm sorry, Yoel, Mr. Poopy Pants. I don't buy it. But what did he say?
He said he just. I'm trying. I can't actually find the quote right now, but he said something along the lines of, Michael doesn't have the heart or the cojones or something like that to actually fight me.
He said the huevos or the what was it? Something
huevos.
Like that. The what?
Yeah, I think it is huevos. Isn't that eggs though? What is that?
What are huevos?
I'm such a shitty Puerto Rican.
Yeah, you speak any Spanish at all?
No. I can count to like 6, I think.
And in the trois, that's French. On this or whatever. Fuck it, move on. Before we both seem like idiots. Listen, if I agree to fight somebody, I agree to fight them, and I honor what we did. We squared up before the world. We did a press conference, and the fight's going to happen. But I want to know when. I want to know when. And I think that's fair enough. And I was just throwing it out there. If we don't set a date, then of course. If we don't set a date, then I'm going to continue fighting. I'm not just going to sit around forever waiting for George. I'm just trying to give him a kick up the backside, But if George doesn't happen, then I'll move on. But George is going to happen. Yeah. I even texted Dana last week, and he said he should have a date for me pretty soon. So, yep, stand by.
This is what he said. I think Bisping will do as GSP wants. He doesn't have the heart nor the huevos to fight me. If he did, he would fight me in July.
Yeah, all right, cool. Well, I'll see you down the line, buddy boy. We'll... let some of those steroids drain out of your system. Listen, can we talk about this? There's no way on earth that guy is not on steroids. Now, you can say whatever you want. I mean, come on. He tested positive. I don't want to waste too much time talking about this because I'll sound like a broken record. But take a look at his physique, okay? I know he's on steroids. Simple as that. The guy's almost 40. He's probably stopped producing testosterone these days. The amount of cardio that you have to do to compete in mixed martial arts is through the roof. To build muscle whilst doing cardio is very, very hard. The guy's taking steroids. He tested positive. He blamed it on a tainted supplement, which is the oldest trick in the book. Come on, Yoel. Kiss my ass.
Yeah. He's not too happy. Well, let me ask you this. Let's say you do, for some reason, some crazy unforeseen circumstances, GSP wrestle fucks you for 5 rounds and takes your title. Let's say that happens, okay?
Okay. Let's live in the the realms of the imaginary world. Yes.
Yeah, pigs are flying.
Hypothetical situation.
Up is down, down is up, day is night. This is a different world. This is a crazy world,
All right,
bizarre
so GSP
world.
beats me, takes my belt. What is your question?
So what's the next plan after that? Let's say that happens. Would you want to go fight Yoel Romero? Is that something that would interest you, whether there's a belt on the line or not?
Well, so here's the thing, and we were talking about this, Lewis. You can't fight forever, and in my career, I've kind of, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, and God forbid, hypothetical situation, GSP beats me, takes my belt. I'm not going to retire off a loss, and I would want one more fight. Pardon me. 1 second there, little burp. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to retire on a loss, but I'm getting close to the end of my career, and I've said that. I haven't been secretive about that, and if GSP was to beat me, then God bless him and good for him. I'd probably take one more fight in my home country of England, fight before my home people, and then call it a day because, I don't want to be one of these guys that hangs around. I've had a long career. I've got a lot out of this sport, and this my career has far exceeded my expectations. I got into this sport. I was a young kid. I didn't, apply myself at school. I didn't go to college and all this stuff. I went to college for a little bit, left pretty early. And then after that, it was just, I went for a phase of working shitty jobs, very shitty pay, and got into this to earn some money. But my goal when I first started getting into MMA was to earn enough money out of it to be able to quit and go to college and train to be able to get a proper job. So I far exceeded my expectations. I've become world champion. I've had the most fights. I've made history. I've got a few dollars put away. But I'm, after a couple more fights, I'm ready to move on anyway. So I'm not going to stick around and try and claw myself back to being a champion.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, dude, that's just obviously a fantasy world. That's some crazy shit.
Well, not exactly. Thank you. Yeah. Let's not get all doom and gloom here. GSP won't do that. That little lizard will not be taking my belt. That's for a fact. But that does segue as let's stop talking about me and GSP again, because people, as you said at the top of the show, I don't want to be a narcissist and talk about myself constantly. You know what I'm saying, Lewis?
Of course. Well,
because I get called that every day. You know what I mean?
We have some fan questions because we got to get out of here in a little while. But I want to talk about this.
Time is flying by.
Oh yes, it is, my friend. Well, real quick, let's do our picks for the co-main event. Weidman Mousasi. As an analyst, actually give me both picks here.
Right.
Who do you want to win and why? And then as an analyst, who do you think is going to win?
Okay, let me throw this out there real fast. Me and Chris Weidman have had a contentious relationship lately, and I like Chris. I like his team. I like his coaches.
Emphasis on the word cunt.
Ha! No, listen, I like the guy, and I like the way he carries himself, and I like the way he handles himself. He seems like a great family man, and he's been great for the sport. And, when I make this pick, obviously you can probably guess which way I'm going to go. It's nothing personal directed at Chris. See, the thing is, I speak about this all the time, the psychological side of fighting is incredible. Now, he's come off 2 tough losses, 2 stoppages in a row, and he's fighting a very, very tough opponent. Mousasi has got a lot of momentum around him at the moment, and he's doing well, and stylistically can give him problems. And I think, and whilst I admire and respect the balls on Chris Weidman for taking this fight, I think on the night when he's walking out there and he's in his locker room and they say, right, okay, it's time to go. Because that's what happens. You're in there, you're hitting the pads, there's a camera in there, and then you get a knock on your door and say, all right, guys, time to go. And you stand up with your team and you walk out and you're walking down that corridor and there's people everywhere and they're walking past you. And you're walking down and there's other fighters, they're getting stitched up and they're all this type of stuff. And it's going into your mind and the nerves are taking over you. And you continue to walk and wait here and the lights are on you. You can see the crowd and it's all pitch black and you're waiting to walk out. Jesus Christ, the nerves, the adrenaline, the excitement, the doubt, all these different emotions going through your mind. You're thinking, did I do everything I can in training? Did I apply myself? Did I make the sacrifices? Did I do enough cardio? Did I do enough wrestling? All this shit is going through you. And if you're coming off 2 losses, 2 stoppage losses, that's very, very fresh in your mind. And that will certainly play a factor in this fight. Now, Chris Weidman has been a world champion. He's been an undefeated fighter in the past. But still, the psychological aspect will be there. So it's going to be very, very hard for him to overcome that. I'm not saying he can't overcome it. but it's going to be hard for him to do it, and it may affect his performance when it goes out there. So for all those reasons, that's why I'm picking Mousasi, because Mousasi, on top of everything, as well as being a great boxer, great condition, very, very experienced, almost had 50 professional fights, excellent on the ground, all that good stuff. He's got a lot of momentum behind him at the moment. So for all those reasons, I'm picking Gegard Mousasi. The dogs are barking like crazy.
That was a fucking great speech. That was like a Braveheart speech. The dogs are losing their minds.
Braveheart speech, and the fucking German Shepherd ruined it. Dito, shut the fuck up. Oh, but I tell you, I had chills on my neck there, because that's what it's like, you know, when you're warming up and they come and get you, dude. It's a crazy trip, and then every time you're doing it, you kind of think to yourself, why do I do this? Every time I'm there and I'm in the locker room, and don't get me wrong, I love it. I love to fight. I love to spar. That's why I do this. No one's got a gun to my head. But it's crazy. You're warming up, and then you sit there, and then, you have this internal dialogue with yourself, and you go from 1 minute from being super confident to a second, maybe a little nerves in there, a little bit of doubt, and you have this little conversation with yourself. You got to harness the good energy, block the bad, to quote Happy Gilmore, but that's what you got to do. And then you sit down, I look up at my coaches, I say to Perillo, I say, why the fuck do I do this again, And then obviously you go out there, hopefully you have a good performance, and you can't wait to do it all over again. But it is a trip, my friend. It is a mental trip.
Yeah, you have such a better analysis for your pick than me. Once again,
what is yours based on? Mousasi has a great walkout song.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like Mousasi wears the tighty shorts, and Weidman doesn't. So
that will make him more aerodynamic.
Yeah, I pick fights like our girlfriends would pick like their favorite football team. It's like I really like his uniform, or I had a really good time in Seattle that one time, so I'm picking that team. That's it.
No, but who are you picking then? You picking Mousasi?
Yeah, I got to pick Mousasi. To be honest with you, I think you kind of pointed this out. I didn't really consider Weidman's path to the title. Look, nobody's had an easier path to the title than Conor McGregor, but we won't even comment on that right now. But yeah, Weidman did not have a crazy difficult path to that title, and we watched Anderson Silva. It was almost like perfect timing, because Anderson seemed to lose that. I can't even say that, because I feel like Weidman broke the mystique of Anderson Silva. He just said, fuck it, I'm not afraid of this guy. I'm going to go in and I'm going to fight him. You know what I'm saying? And everyone else seemed to kind of be intimidated by him. And then he was the first guy to do that. And then we watched it happen again and again and again. I mean, you had to go back and watch that Weidman fight and go like, oh shit, yeah, I guess if you just walk toward Anderson Silva, he's not this fucking mystical ninja that he pretends to be,
No, absolutely, 100%. You can't give Anderson the respect. And you're right, that's what Weidman did. But if you recall, if you go back and watch that fight, Weidman was doing okay in the first round, but then towards the end of the round, Anderson was stopping his takedowns and getting a little cocky. And at the end of the first round, he was like calling Weidman on him, when they had the minute rest between rounds. He was like saying, come on, let's go. And he was just totally disrespecting Weidman like he always did. And then that round started, and Anderson was like stopping him and kind of making a bit of a fool out of him. He was making Weidman miss, and he was kind of playing with him. And the momentum was really shifting towards Anderson. So much so, of course, we all know he started acting like an absolute fucking asshole, paid him no respect, pretended to get knocked out, and then Weidman followed up with a great shot. And fair play to him, it was a great knockout. But Anderson kind of brought it on himself. Now, by the way, I'm not trying to take a big dump on Weidman's career. Weidman is a tough fighter, very, very tough. Great wrestling, excellent conditioning, fantastic jiu-jitsu. Some of the best jiu-jitsu in the division, I would say, and has a great team. And he's had a lot of success and beaten some good guys. I just think Mousasi takes it. I just think for the psychological reasons, the momentum, and stylistically, I think on the feet, Weidman is a little slower. Mousasi has razor sharp boxing, very, very good boxing, and he has more speed, and speed kills.